Hello guys, I'm Jay. I hope you all are doing well, and today's video is gonna be about the science fiction action thriller film Dasavatharam and more, so let's get right into the video. Biotechnologist Govindarajan Ramaswamy talks at the Jawaharlal Nehru Arena and makes sense of about tumult hypothesis and the butterfly impact. He starts by recounting occasions from the 12th century Chidambaram, when Chola ruler Kulathunga II, a Shaivite, mistreats Vaishnavites and expects to obliterate an icon of Vishnu. Rangarajan Nambi, a Vaishnavite, safeguards it and insults the Lord, who orders Rangarajan to be executed by being punctured, stoned, lowered into the ocean with a symbol. Nambi's significant other Kodai is stunned by this and she kills herself in front of the king. The scene movements to the 20th of December 2004, where a nanobiotechnology lab in the US plans a vector infection expected as a bioweapon, following the September 11th assaults to safeguard further psychological oppressor assaults on US soil. While the colleagues are watching a news program, Govindarajan, otherwise known as Govind, sees the recording of his lab. A monkey named Hanu breaks out of his enclosure, recovering an example of the test virus. As the monkey takes the vial, believing it to be the typical chocolate Govind would channel him, swallows the example of the infection. Govind and his group attempt to save him, yet is past the point of no return, and they observe powerlessly as he passes on. Govind, disheartened by the occasion, isolates the lab room and fills it with a concentrated salt arrangement. Subsequent to understanding the first infection's deadly possible, the most difficult way possible, Govind won't give up the super single vial containing the infection because of dread of abuse. Anyway, his chief and senior researcher, Dr. Sethu, has a malevolent arrangement as a main priority: to offer it to a psychological oppressor country. Understanding this, Govind slips the vial out of the lab and is sought after by the safety officer and the authorities. Govind escapes to his companion and colleague Suresh's home for asylum, who furtively double-crosses him. A helicopter lodging a rebel CIA specialist, Christian Fletcher, shows up in the center of Govind's and Suresh's home. Fletcher catches to Suresh's condo utilizing a crossbow and shoots Suresh and endeavors to hold onto the vial. Govind escapes away while Yuka Narahazi, Suresh's significant other and an Aikido champion, battles Fletcher and safeguards Govind. Govind figures out how to bounce into one more loft's window and getaways the structure before the condo is besieged by Fletcher. The infection is unintentionally sent to India by Govind's companion Sairam on board a traveler airplane, securely in Govind's grasp. Govind covertly sheets into the airplane conveying the infection and changes its area. Govind later discovers that the bundle containing the vial is being shipped off Krishnaveni. In Japan, a gifted hand-to-hand fighting educator, Shingen Narahazi, who is Yuka Narahazi's senior sibling, gets educated regarding his sister's homicide and embarks to complete the guilty party. Subsequent to showing up in India, Govind is addressed by Balram Naidu, a particular crude employable, who quickly detests Govind. Govind ineffectively attempts to make sense of the series of episodes. However, Naidu trusts him to be an individual from a posse. In the meantime, Fletcher, who has hitched an Indian professional killer named Jasmine, shows up in Chennai. Subsequent to wedding her and involving her as an interpreter, Fletcher undermines Govind and a cop Bharat and removes them in a jeep, in the wake of killing two dark felines at the air terminal for a spotless exit from chasing after Indian specialists. The appearance of the renowned pop vocalist Simbal Singh makes their departure simple. In the wake of leaving the city, Govind escapes from Fletcher with the assistance of the police officer and arrives at Chidambaram. Fletcher follows him, subsequent to getting a taxi, alongside Jasmine. After Govind endeavors to convince Andal and her grandma Krishnavini, who are beneficiaries of the bundle conveying the infection, Krishnavini places the vial into the symbol of Master Vishnu, requesting that the divinity deal with it. Observing this large number of occasions from the external, the center of the strict celebration occurring in the road, Jasmine goes close to the icon and searches briefly to get the symbol available, while unexpectedly, an elephant who is a piece of the strict celebration is unintentionally liberated by Fletcher, who shoots the elephant to divert Naidu, and it goes frantic with complete disarray in the road. In the mayhem, the elephant gets hold of Jasmine and tosses her. She gets pierced on an edge on the wall. Realizing that her wounds are excessively lethal, Fletcher, in a desire to get hold of Govind, who in the mayhem took the icon with him, shoots Jasmine. Andal frantically runs behind Govind for getting back the Perumal icon into which Krishnavini put the vial. Govind and Andal take off from Fletcher with the symbol, with a few confusion and contentions between them. Her resentment about removing the icon from Chidambaram and him being stressed over saving the vial from Fletcher, which is into the symbol now. They show up at a ground where unlawful sand excavators are working. The excavators attempt to attack Andal, yet Govind routs them and they escape after the obstruction of Vincent Puvaragan, a social dissident, and drive away from the spot with one of the trucks that have a place with the diggers. Andal, in a desire to return to Chidambaram, powers Govind to turn the vehicle, and they wind up crashing a van inverse that has a huge Muslim family. Andal and Govind recuperate from the truck and saves the family, where an unnaturally tall man named Kalifullah is seen. Kalifullah's mom blacks out of nowhere and is taken to a clinic, where Govind secures a cooling box to store the icon, as it is temperamental and its temperature should be kept up with. Avtar Singh is additionally there with his family for the therapy of his throat disease. His professionally prescribed drugs are in a comparative-looking box, and prior to leaving the emergency clinic, his family unwittingly switches it with Govind's case. Govind, ignorant about this, goes to the police headquarters to tell them of all the disorder occurring. Knowing this, in the meantime, Fletcher, who spots Andal in the emergency clinic, kidnaps Andal and Kalifullah's family in their home, and Govind is coerced to bring back the container he is conveying. With no decision, he arrives at the spot just to find that Simbal should have the vial box as the medication box is with him. The police encompass the house, and Fletcher powerfully removes Govind and Andal, and a little child from the Muslim family, to escape in a jeep. Shingan Narahazi, who botches Govind as the executioner subsequent to being misdirected by Balram, follows them. Simbal completes his last exhibition, and in the interim, Fletcher alongside Govind, Andal, and the kid arrives at the spot for getting the case that contains the icon. In a battle among Fletcher and Govind in the spot to remove the icon, Symbol is shot by Fletcher. While Symbol's significant other pulls Fletcher and battles out of resentment for shooting her better half, Andal takes off with her deity and Govind goes behind her. Govind and Andal escape to arrive at a building site, where a pursuing occurs between Fletcher, who comes to as soon. In the bedlam and pursue, the vial from the icon emerges and Govind gets hold of it. Fletcher, who knows nothing about this, gets Govind at a point and Govind offers the icon to Fletcher and moves from the spot quickly with Andal, who is despondent that Govind has offered her venerated image to Fletcher. The Sunday breaks on the 26th of December 2004 and Govind gets a thought from some waste specialists to drench the infection in a huge amount of salt to obliterate it. He goes to the ocean side, just to be come by Fletcher, who figures out the vial isn't inside the icon. Shingan Narahazi shows up and apologizes to Govind for confounding him as the killer. Narahazi battles Fletcher and losses him. During the battle, Govind gets cut by Fletcher. Simultaneously, Balram Naidu shows up in a helicopter and requests that Fletcher give up. Toward the finish existing apart from everything else, Narahazi asks Fletcher how he needs to kick the bucket. Gotten among Narahazi and Balram Naidu, Fletcher opens the vial and nibbles it, getting tainted and heaving blood. Govind and Balram Naidu, who knows about the outcome, gaze vulnerably at the circumstance when out of nowhere, a wave strikes, washing away Fletcher, and causing extraordinary obliteration along the coast while halting the effect of the vial, which would have destructed the whole state in the event that it was not washed away via seawater that contains tons and lots of sodium chloride, which is the main answer for stop the result of the infection. Puvaragan is at his opponent's home while the torrent strikes and he bites the dust in a vehicle in the wake of saving the offspring of his opponents who were caught inside. Govind, Narahazi and Andal gets into a boat on the coast. After the mayhem, Krishnavini Pati shows up later and cries in the wake of seeing departed Puvaragan as her tragically missing child, who had passed on quite a while back. Kalifullah and his family as well as neighbors are protected as Balram brought every one of them into a distant masjid for addressing. After help measures are taken, Andal contends that God had sent forward the tidal wave to dispose of the weapon. Govind answers by inquiring as to whether God would obliterate many lives to save millions. Afterward, they join together and communicates affections for one another, while it's uncovered that they're before the very icon of Vishnu that was lowered in the 12th 100 years, which has eventually been brought back from the sea. Rangarajan Nambi's bones are seen on the symbol. The scene movements to the arena, where Symbol, who had his dangerous development removed by Fletcher's shot, alongside all the others, pays attention to the discourse by Govind followed by the previous president George W. Shrubbery as the credits roll. That's how the movie has been ended, and the fun fact of the movie is the 10 Avatar done by one man, Kamal Hassan.